Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the fifth quarter in Leadership. Good to have you along here this evening. Packers over the Cowboys 45-7 in a whirlwind of activity that has taken place since then. Wade Phillips losing his job after the Packers pick up the win. That football team just, I mean, I thought they were bad like a week earlier. They were like doubly bad.
Yeah, they packed it in pretty early. They're really lacking leadership over there. I mean, you could tell by looking at their sideline yesterday. You know, I looked over there a few times and guys were just spread all down the sideline. It was like nobody wanted to be next to their teammates. So, but yeah, they're struggling over there, and it's hard to reason with. I mean, they have a lot of talent over there. They're just lacking the leadership, is my guess.
You know, sometimes just a different face, a different voice makes a difference. You know, so we'll see if they can at least turn things around. It's not about making the playoffs anymore for the Cowboys. It's just about playing better football at this point, trying to get some wins and a little consistency going down the stretch. We're joined by Justin Hull from WSCO, the Score here in Appleton, and Justin will be with us throughout the whole show. Last night, TJ Lang, put it together. Last night, TJ Lang was trying desperately. The deal was, if the Packers won, the coach was going to give the entire week off. So everybody's out. They didn't even have to come in for film work on Monday. And if they lost, they had to come in on Monday, but then the rest of the week was off. So TJ last night after the win was on his hands and knees in the middle of the locker room begging for one of his teammates to come give him a hand, and nobody was buying.
I saw him. He was standing by the door. It was almost he was waiting for everybody to go, hey, you were talking about? And then he started walking everybody, bouncing around.
So, yeah, I think I'm the last one in town here, but everybody's pretty quick to get out that door yesterday.
So what are you doing after this?
I'm going to head home tomorrow. I'm going to drive back to Michigan for a few days and spend some time with the family. So,
you're going to say yes to Michigan, huh?
Yeah, I will. I'm a Michigan boy, so it'll be nice to get home for a few days.
Nice to see the offense explode for a change, really. The third down efficiency, 67%. Time of possession, better than a 15-minute advantage throughout the course of the football game, and what all that stacks up to is efficiency in both running. In fact, if you count Rodgers' scrambles, when he ran the football, 35 runs, 35 passes. When's the last time a McCarthy-led football team's ever pulled that off?
Never. Yeah, it was good to see. It's what we've been waiting for. You know, we knew that the whole year we've had the potential. We were just waiting for it to finally all start clicking. And yesterday it was awesome to see, all three phases coming together and playing a complete game for the first time this year. That was a good team. Dallas, like I said, they have a lot of talent. So when we're playing on top of our game like we did yesterday, we can score a lot of points, and obviously we showed that.
Have you seen a confidence in Brandon Jackson? I mean, the more that he's gotten to go since week one when Ryan Grant went down, the more carries, the more comfortable he is. Because if you watch it, he's starting to see things that I don't think he saw early on in the season.
Yeah, I think so. He's starting to hit a lot more open holes, and every week we watch film with the running backs as the O-line, and we kind of go over with them what we're looking at, and they go over with us what they're looking at, what their keys are. So it helps us get a better understanding of what they want to do on certain plays, and that enables us to know what we're supposed to do on the blocks and give them easier reads to hit the holes. But yeah, Brandon's been playing awesome. He had 2 touchdowns yesterday, receiving and rushing, and he's a hard runner. He's going to get you those extra yards after the first guy hits him. So he's definitely been playing pretty well the last few weeks.
Nobody really knew what to expect when Donald Driver was going to be out for the whole football game. When he's out, when it's announced that he's out ahead of time, there's no game planning for number 80. So now it's up to Jordy, and it's up to James Jones, and so on and so forth. Everything that goes right down the line. And Jones came out and 8 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown. He was pretty big yesterday.
Yeah, he was, and he was one of our top guys yesterday, statistically wise. And with Driver out, those other guys stepped up, and Jordy had a nice couple catches, and Greg's always going to get his nice catches during the game. But I thought our passing game they were phenomenal yesterday. It started with the protection up front. Once again, those guys up front were taking care of business, and especially with DeMarcus Ware coming off the edge, he's a powerful rusher. He's top of the league in sacks every year, and we were able to hold those guys to no sacks, and that shows us what we can do as well. We'll get Aaron time back there, and he's going to make a lot of special things happen. And James had he had a great game yesterday, making a lot of great catches.
Yeah, I heard James Jones say last week that because people were kind of going at him about his lack of consistency. One week he's up here, one week he's down here. And so there were a couple of reporters asking him last week about it, and he said, hey, he said, if they don't want to throw me the football every week the same amount of times, it's hard to be consistent. One week I get it 6 times, and one week I get it 1 or 2 times. And obviously there's some truth to that. I was a little surprised to hear that, but then today talking with Joe Philbin, the offensive coordinator, Jimmy Robinson, the wide receivers coach, they all said the same thing. So apparently that wasn't such a bad thing for James Jones to say.
Yeah, I think James was the first couple of games he was frustrated, not getting many touches that he wanted to, but when you're in a position like that, you just got to keep playing. And he was a little inconsistent here and there, during the middle of the season, but he's definitely coming on lately and making some nice plays for us.
I'm sure if you catch 8 passes for 120 yards on a score, you might see more passes coming your way in the future weeks.
Yeah, that's true. And with Donald out, we knew that he was going to have to step up, and he did yesterday. He had a great game.
I mean, he's been a guy too. We were watching training camps over the year. You see that ability with him. You see that. You understand why he was a 3rd round pick. A lot of people, 3rd round pick. Who's this guy? This James Jones. And we've seen that ability from him, and you're right about that consistency. The chances too. He's a guy that I feel is really going to relish that opportunity, and he showed that last night.
Yeah, I agree.
There's news out today, the hit that Nick Collins put on Roy Williams has not only cost him, but cost him dearly. $50,000 is what Nick Collins was hit with today. That's like a good friend of ours, Tom Nice's, that's his game check from the Xavier basketball program. So that's a tough one to swallow. $50,000, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that is. I've been, on the field and looking at the replay, I didn't think that he necessarily, it didn't look like he hit him in the head, but, the NFL reviews that stuff, and poor Nick, that's good bad for him.
Good thing he got his extension.
Yeah, exactly. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about a dismissal, key player gone from the Green Bay Packers roster. We'll talk more about that when we come back. In the Huddle continues after this on the Woodward Radio Network. Brought to you each and every Monday night by Mole Lake Casino Resort and Conference Center. Don't forget, email your question of the week to us at inthehuddleshow.com. Each week we'll reward one email participant with a 2-night stay and lift tickets for 2 days to Granite Peak Ski Area in the Wausau area. We'll continue with TJ Lang now and Justin Hull. I'm Bill Scott. Well, the news out today that the Packers decided to release Al Harris. Today was the supposed D-Day. They had to make a decision by today. Mike McCarthy did say in his press conference that it was not a physical thing, but instead it was more of a long-term outlook type thing for the football team. If you read between the lines, Al Harris is 36 years old. They weren't sure that he could play like a starter anymore, even though he's being paid like a starter. Tramon Williams had such an outstanding first half of the season that he basically has cemented himself as a starting corner. And the Packers didn't want to part with all those young football players that they've worked so hard to bring along for the 36-year-old who you don't know what really you're going to get from him too much anymore.
Yeah, definitely sad to see Al go. But like you said, we have a lot of young talent on the team, especially in the secondary. Tremon's been playing fantastic throughout the first 9 games. Sam Shields has been stepping up, making some nice plays. He had a phenomenal interception yesterday. So, wish Al the best. And we're going to need those guys to continue to keep playing well.
It's kind of tough too. I mean, you go back to training camp and you listen to Coach McCarthy when they're putting together the 53-man roster. The biggest thing they bring up is special teams. And you look at all the other corners on that team. Jared Bush, Sam Shields, Pat Lee, all those guys are contributors on special teams too. And McCarthy also talked a little bit about that at the press conference. It boils down to, would Al Harris be a contributor on special teams? Could he be? And that fit just didn't seem like it was there.
Yeah, that's special teams is the difference maker between keeping guys on the team, especially guys that aren't starters. If you're going to want to be on the team, you're going to have to play special teams. And Al, obviously, being 36 with probably be tough for him to fit in a role like that.
I think one of the things that came up too was what kind of an impact will this decision have amongst the other veterans in the locker room? Is there an expected backlash? I don't know if we can quite go that far, but I'm sure there are some veteran football players out there that are saying, boy, who's next? That type of thing. And there are players on this football team. Mark Tauscher would be a guy that, he's there really trying to rehab, but then he's going to be a security type guy, because I really don't see Ryan Bulaga losing that right tackle job when Tauscher's back and ready to go either.
Yeah, it'll be, we got a lot of young talent on our team, and, I think everybody knows that, it's pretty obvious. So, I don't want to say that we're going for the veterans' jobs, but, there comes a time where, as an organization, you got to move on to the other guys and get them ready to play, and look forward to the future.
Well, it's a cold, hard reality, but in professional sports, it seems like it hits faster, because at 36 years old, we look at 36 in the NFL as an old man, but at 36 in real life, you're right in the prime of your life. So you get a 36-year-old like Al Harris, and now all of a sudden he's doing it. And nobody saw this coming. Everybody thought that Al Harris was getting ready to be activated today, and he's going to start playing in the nickel for the Green Bay Packers next week, or 2 weeks. And that's not going to happen. It's a pretty cold, hard reality. I don't know of anybody that's shocked at this news.
It shocked me, I'll tell you, and I saw that. It definitely shocked me, but, you got to look at the reality of things. Like we talked about, the young guys that have been playing well, they're going to continue to keep playing well, because now we don't have that backup in Al. Those guys are going to have to step up and take an even bigger role now.
So you brought it up, with the veteran leadership that leads with Harris, a guy who's been there since 2003. Well, what is the chemistry of this team like? How does it compare to last year? How does it compare to teams that you have played on in the past? Because we always hear that word chemistry as being a very big thing. I mean, look at Dallas last night. It didn't look like they have no chemistry on their side.
Yeah, well, I think on both sides of the ball, we have veteran guys that step up and hold guys accountable. If you have guys out there, blowing plays or hitting wrong assignments, you got guys coming up to them and saying, hey, get your stuff right. And that's what it takes. You got to hold guys accountable. And that's how you earn the respect of the rest of the players. You step up and you hold yourself accountable over everybody else when you make mistakes. Tell guys, hey, it's not going to happen again. I think we have tremendous character. The veteran guys on our team that do that and set great examples for the young guys.
It's taken this long to come up with an offensive performance where you could say everybody's clicking on the right page. And as bad as you guys needed the break, it's come much later this year than at any time before. As bad as you needed that break, is there part of you that says, what, we finally got it going, maybe we shouldn't be stopping right now as an offensive unit?
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think you're going to talk to one guy who's not happy that we have a whole week off. So it's definitely much needed. Give guys a chance, an extra week to rest their bodies and be healthy for the last 7 games of the year. So, but it is nice to finally be hitting everything in stride, and our confidence is sky high right now. We've been playing pretty good football, defense especially, in the playoffs, staying into the first half. So. It's great to have the confidence going into the bye week and be at 6-3. It's where we wanted to be going into this week. So, we're going to take a week off to get healthy and come back and keep things rolling.
Yeah, Justin, you were at the coach's press conference today, and I think he said a couple times that I can't wait to get through this bye week, that hopefully my injury list goes from 2 pages down to 1.
Yeah, he was talking about that because, everyone's on there too. But one other thing he did mention, that there's still going to be a few injuries that are going to be out there that are going to be lingering. I think there's kind of maybe been a false sense of security from a lot of fans that, okay, they get to the bye week and all of a sudden you're healthy again. You still got to get back out there, got to be in football shape. And I know, with Pickett's injury, with Tauscher's injury, Pat Lee's injury, just 3 off the top of my head that McCarthy mentioned today, Driver's injury too. You still don't know that time frame, though. An extra week will help. I'm amazed. I'm going to be amazed to see how a week of health will help Clay Matthews get any better.
Let's say play for the next segment. Sounds good.
You can use a whole segment or a whole show on talking.
We're going to use the next segment on Clay Matthews because he's obviously something special. But one guy that is not happy that the break is here, that's Atari Bigby. He finally just came off a long break, and he's going to be chomping at the bit, just waiting to play.
Yeah, it was good to see Atari back out there yesterday. He was running around and on special teams making some plays and got in there on defense a little bit. So he's a player that can only help our team, and it is good to see him back there.
Is that kind of like, I mean, like a mid-season acquisition when you get a guy like that? You haven't had Atari for the first 8 weeks, and all of a sudden here you get this veteran player that's been through the ropes, that know what's going on out there, and really can be an impact player?
Yeah, I think so. You know, we all know the type of capability Atari has. You know, he's always around the football. He lays hits on people, and you know, he seems to get a good amount of interceptions too. So having him up back on the field, it'll only help our defense. You know, it'll add the competition there to the guys that have been playing, and it'll make everybody better.
Not only did this football team for the third week in a row have 3 penalties or less, 2 yesterday, I believe, for 20 yards, but for the second game in a row, no turnovers. 4 takeaways, no turnovers. You guys are going to climb that chart pretty quick, too.
It's good to see for the second straight week. Like I say every week, that's our top goal, take care of the football. You know, whoever wins the turnover battles, probably going to win the game, and that was the case yesterday.
Talking to running backs coach Edgar Bennett today about maybe it not being such a bad thing for the Packers to share, you know, to have the backfield by committee, and right now it's Brandon Jackson and John Kuhn doing a pretty solid job, and you know, those guys along with Rodgers somehow built themselves up to 35 carries yesterday.
It was good to see. You know, as an offensive line, you like to run the ball, and you know, Aaron had a bunch of big runs for us yesterday. And Brandon and John, they both bring a little something different to the table. You know, John's more of a power guy, and Brandon's a guy that can, you know, make people miss side to side. So it's great having a combo back there with those 2 guys that can run the ball effectively.
Yeah, and they stay well rested.
Right. Yeah, that's huge too.
They don't get banged up. They're rested. They're ready to go.
Yep, that's big. You know, playing running back, get 30 snaps a game, you're pretty fresh throughout the whole game.
All right, don't forget, email your questions to us this week in thehuddleshow.com. Each week, we'll reward 1 email participant with a 2-night stay and lift tickets for 2 days to Granite Peak. We'll continue with TJ Lang and Justin Hall from the Score. Back with more of the 5th quarter when we return after this on the Woodward Radio Network.
Starting Green Bay offensive lineman TJ Lang.
Monday night after the Packers knocked off the Cowboys 45-7. I remember, TJ, you weren't around here at that point in time, but I remember the stretch, and so do many of these fans out here, that period of time for about 5, 6, maybe 7 years where the Packers seemed to play the Cowboys every year, sometimes twice a year, and then had to go down to Dallas many times and stomach a lot of close losses, and they eventually turned the table and won a Super Bowl. But you kind of don't feel sorry for the Cowboys right now because of everything they put us through, you know, way back then.
I don't feel sorry for them at all.
No.
Especially you know, at the beginning of the season, they were talking about, you know, everybody was talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets playing for the Super Bowl, and I don't feel sorry for them one bit. They're 1-7.
And of course, the Cowboys, you know, the Super Bowl's right in their facility, and you know, they may have the first overall draft pick when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there were a lot of expectations for them this year, and they've been going on the wrong side of that.
Huge failures. Clay Matthews, 62-yard interception return for a touchdown. He had another quarterback sack, gives him 10.5 for the year now, makes him the first Packer in history to record back-to-back double-digit sack seasons in his first 2 years with the team. So it's never been done before. And obviously fans chanting MVP throughout different portions of that football game, and I asked him last night afterwards, and he said I heard every one of them. So he's thinking about it.
I don't think it's unrealistic. I don't think it's very realistic for Clay. Huge stuff on 3rd and 1 yesterday, coming up the middle, and you know, obviously having 10.5 sacks through 9 games is very impressive. And interception for a touchdown. I mean, those are the numbers you look for MVP player.
I know last night on the telecast when we were watching down in the tunnel, Charles and Clay were talking to Andrea Kramer. Charles, we were kind of talking about maybe passing the torch, Charles to Clay, and Charles was talking about, I'm surprised I can be in, the same area as Clay right now, and all that different stuff, but those two, do you see them, just working together? They both talked about how they make each other better, both giving each other credit last night. Do you see that on the defensive side of the football from those guys, really feeding off of each other, really working well together?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously when you have a premier pass rusher like Clay, it makes those guys in the secondary, make their job a lot easier covering guys, because the quarterback's going to be more likely to throw the ball out quicker, and it makes those guys their job easier. So, everybody's been playing awesome on the defense, in my opinion, this year. The turnovers that they've been getting and the big plays they've been coming up with. They've been the strength of our team throughout the first 9 games, that's for sure. So those guys definitely feed off each other. They got some kind of chemistry going on back there where they're all making plays and they're sharing the big plays. So it's good to see those guys back there having fun and making big plays.
Now, you as a tackle must have had to face Clay during training camp in one-on-one drills or offensive line, defensive pass rush drills. What was that like?
It's tough. It's tough to block Clay. He's so nimble, and just the way he moves, it's like, Jesus, what what did he just do? But yeah, he's a great player, and he just makes everybody else better. When you get a chance to go against a guy like that every day in practice, it'll make you better. So
He's like a hurricane.
he is.
Like a tornado or something. But he's the Tasmanian devil in real life.
He really is. The way he runs out there and spins and jumps, and I don't know what he does half the time, but he makes a lot of plays, and he makes everybody on our team better by practicing against him.
So now he takes training camp off. He has the last 2 years. So when did you really start to see this player emerging that, he is right now the defensive player of the year candidate? He's getting full-page spreads in Sports Illustrated. When did you start to notice him elevating himself to that status?
Probably right off the bat. Week 1 he came out and, coming off of missing 3 weeks of training camp, came out and had 3 sacks in the first game, and I think 3 sacks in the second game. He should take training camp off every year. He's a guy that we always knew. Me personally going against him every day in practice, you know what kind of special talent he has. And he's been showcasing it this year. He's been having a great year.
I think last year, too, and I think a lot of Packer fans will think of the moment when he ripped the ball out of Adrian Peterson's hand in Minnesota and scampered down the sideline for a touchdown. That was really the moment, I think, where the excitement of this defensive stalwart for the team really got stepped up.
That started with that question. He's obviously been very big. And I can't recall, I'm just not sure how the vote was, but there's an overall MVP in the league. All right, you know what the last time, and the only time a defensive player has ever won the overall player of the year is 1971, and Alan Page, former Minnesota Viking, won that award. And it's never been done for a defensive player other than that year. And right now, there's really no overall dominant, clear-cut offensive player this year. And there are some people that say not only can Clay Matthews win the defensive MVP, but he might be able to win the overall MVP in the league.
I think that'll be tough to do just because, the overall MVP, like you said, it's usually an offensive player, somebody that has, a bunch load of touchdowns and offensive statistics. But like you said, there's really not a whole lot of clear-cut players that have been playing over the top this year. Everybody's kind of been having their share of struggles offensively. So if Clay keeps playing the way he's playing, who knows what's happening.
That's a good point to bring up, too, with it being the offense. You think back to Michael Strahan a few years ago when he got the quote-unquote sack record, and he wasn't even,
considered one where Favre laid down for it?
Yeah. We're thinking about that today. Too bad, Minnesota, the final week of the season, if Clay was one away, I'm sure he could, give up another record.
Speaking of Favre, did you hear what Childress said about Favre yesterday?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he was in his news conference, Childress was, and somebody asked him about the fact that after Minnesota came back and won the football game, Ziggy Wolf was in the tunnel hugging and high-fiving and shaking hands and patting on the back all the players that are coming through. And apparently when Brad Childress went through, Ziggy Wolf went the other way and didn't congratulate his head coach, which might be just a sign that things are not going Brad Childress' way. So Childress in his press conference afterwards was asked about it. He said, "That's all right. I don't need the warm, fuzzy hug like Brett Favre does.
And you know what? Can I just say that's outstanding?
It's pretty true. It is so true. It's not even funny. But coming out of Brad Childress' mouth, you know. Wow, that's funny.
Things are bad in Dallas. I wait for Minnesota to lose a couple more games. They might blow up all the way to Los Angeles when all's said and done.
Fans say, you know, really the best thing that could have happened, even though Wade Phillips lost his job today, the best thing that could have happened for you and the Cowboys, at least you're going to get buried on the road. You know, I'm convinced that Wade Phillips was making some of his decisions in the first half on purpose so that he could say to Jerry Jones, "Put me out of my misery, will you?" I mean, some of those challenge calls and one on the goal line, I don't know what he was looking at, but yeah.
And then the one that he should have challenged was the Collins. I don't know if you saw
he was out of challenges.
Yeah, he was out of challenges. He was out of timeouts. Yeah, 206.
But in my opinion, here we go back to this stupid replay rule. If you're going to have a replay because you want to get the call right, then just get the call right. Packers scored a touchdown that they shouldn't have had, and we'll take it. But I mean, the only reason it doesn't get called back is because somebody used all their timeouts. How ridiculous is that? You're supposed to want, as a league, it's $1 billion industry. Don't want to just get the call right.
Almost at a point where technology is a crutch. Or that you have replay there in case you blow the whistle too late or, to overchange the play. So a lot of times you see those fumble plays maybe held on a little bit more because if it was not a fumble, well, you can go challenge it, you can go make that play, you can go make that change, whereas if you blow the whistle too early and it was a fumble, then you run into issues like Miami-Pittsburgh last week or trying to figure out who had the ball, and it's almost like it's become a crutch. Technology is not a good thing.
Here's my prediction, though, for Childress. They will squeak by the Bears, he will keep his job for another week, and then the Packers will crush the Vikings, and Childress will lose his job after that. Just like Wade Phillips. There will be a pattern here. You guys will be the coach killers of the NFC North. All right, we'll come back and time out for our email segment. That's coming up in about 3 minutes from right now. Justin Hall back with more from the fifth quarter. In the Huddle continues after this on the Woodward Radio Network.
Defensive lineman TJ Love.
And we are back at the fifth quarter. Should get along this evening in the Huddle. Heard on many great radio stations around the state of Wisconsin, like WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids, WKLJ in Sparta, WDTX in Wausau, WJCM AM in Rice Lake, WRJN in Racine, KFIZ AM in Fond du Lac, and WXCE in Amory. Time now for the Granite Peak email segment. Granite Peak Ski Area in Wausau, the tallest and largest ski area in Wisconsin, with 700 vertical feet and 74 runs. Granite Peak offers terrain for all levels of skiers, along with 6 terrain parks and tree skiing glades. Right now, you can save big money on season passes and multiple day lift tickets by visiting skigranitepeak.com. Great specials on now at skigranitepeak.com. Justin Hall been with us the whole show and now takes over the email segment of the program.
All right, TJ, first question is from Craig. He wants to know, as the season progresses, do the weekly practices go more to film work, mental preparations, and physical workouts, or do the physical workouts stay the same like it's been throughout the whole season?
We spend more time on the fundamentals. I think we have more individual periods where we're working on the techniques and fundamentals, because sometimes later in the season, you tend to get a little sloppy with those, so we make sure to add a couple more periods in practice to, stay sharp on those.
Didn't Wade Phillips last week say they were going back to training camp fundamentals?
But you gotta have guys that care.
That's true.
Yeah. Big difference there. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Wade Phillips is a coach that has been known for a guy that doesn't put the hammer down very well and lacks discipline. But at the same time, you still got to have 53 guys in a roster that give a darn, And I don't think he had those players that did that.
Yeah, very true. All right, we'll get to the next question here from Fred. How important is it for the team to go into the bye week with an almost perfectly played game that led to the massive victory? And thanks for taking this question.
It's great. I mean, our confidence right now is sky high. Like I said before, we've been playing pretty good football, and our defense has been playing phenomenal lately. And to finally put a good game together yesterday with all three phases, the special teams, offense, and defense. I mean, it was just awesome to see. And from being on the offensive side of the ball, you know, it's what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting to play up to our potential. So, you know, we're definitely excited to get a few days off to rest up. But, you know, I guess we're a little bit anxious to get back because you know, we're playing good football right now.
When was the bye last week? Or last year?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Wasn't it like
Was it after
I think
Tampa?
it's like after, I think week 16 or something like, maybe 7, 6, and 7. And that's where it's been for, you know, between 5, 6, and 7, somewhere there. It's been that way for a long time, and this is the first year it's gone this deep.
Now, if they go to 18, they were talking about adding an extra bye week in there, weren't they? Can you imagine having
I've never heard that.
I thought, could you imagine having 2 bye weeks? What two vacations in a season?
Well, you know what, I mean, you go to 18 games, because they've already said that if they add 18 and go to an 18-game schedule, they will start the season and training camp later, because they don't want the regular season to start before Labor Day. So that means sometime around the start of the Major League Baseball season, you'll finally get the NFL done with, so.
Turn it into the next NBA.
Yeah, exactly. Football year round.
All right, we'll get to the next question coming from Christy. She wants to know, in a game when you are leading by as many points as you were against Dallas in the fourth quarter, is it still exciting, or are you just ready to get the game over with?
It's still exciting. I mean, you know, the fans were into the game, you know, throughout the last second. So it was good. And personally, I got a little bit of playing time yesterday, you know, which was nice to finally get in on offense instead of playing defense all the time. You know, it was fun, you know, to go out there, and we were having a good time. We knew that we were going to have a whole week off, and you know, guys wanted to get out there and finish the game and have a good time, and you know, it was good. We were pumped for the whole game.
Justin and I were selfishly thinking about how much sleep we weren't going to get, so we were ready to concede the win at halftime, and so everybody could go home.
But with talking about the joy of the win, I'm sure there are many Packer fans around this country that enjoyed every single point that was put up on those Dallas Cowboys.
I will say this though, because last night was a Milwaukee season ticket group, and there's always this feud about who's the better fans, the Green Bay fans or the Milwaukee fans. Now, even though they're all Packer fans, but they come from different parts. There are some people around this neck of the woods that have the Milwaukee package, but for the most part, Milwaukee's Milwaukee. And last night, the Packers offense had the ball. This is ammunition for all you Green Bay area folks now. They had the football, and the crowd was doing the wave. And they had to put up quiet men at work or something like that on the scoreboard to try to get the fans to stop doing the stinking wave, because they're making too much noise while the Packer offense is on the field.
Well, they're Milwaukee sports fans. They're not used to it.
That's my point. That's my point. So next time there is an argument between Green Bay and Milwaukee, for all the fans out there, you just throw that right back in their face. You guys are not the most intelligent Packer fans.
I personally like the wave. I think it was awesome yesterday. The whole season, the whole stadium was doing it. It was pretty cool.
I heard a few people there. We got some Milwaukee people here or what?
I'm from Milwaukee.
You're from Milwaukee, or you have the Milwaukee package? Were you doing the wave? Shame on you! No, I don't personally care. I just love the fact that the two fan groups, they feud between each other, you know, trying to determine who's better in that. So I think it's ridiculous.
All right, the next question from Beth in Winnicott. Who would you like to see, and who do you think will win next week's game between the Chicago Bears, 5-3, and the Minnesota Vikings, 3-5? And will you be watching that game?
Probably. We were talking about it actually at the table, and I think there's a lot of good points brought up. I think you'd rather see Chicago win, even though they could tie with us. But Minnesota's a team where if they get rolling, they could be pretty dangerous. So I think they have more talent. I won't be cheering for either of them. Hopefully that's in the time.
All right, that's our email segment. We'll come back and pick a winner in the huddle from the fifth quarter. Little should continue after this on the Woodward Radio Network. Continues from the fifth quarter in Little Chute, and let's get our winner of the Granite Peak Ski Area email question of the week. Justin?
Oh yeah, Beth from Winnicott, she had the question about who would you rather see win next week, and you kind of dodged that one. It was a tough one.
0-0 tie. Wouldn't be a bad one.
You're a fence sitter, aren't you, TJ?
Sometimes, maybe.
All right, so congratulations to Beth from Winnicott, and there goes the $400 plus package for the ski package at Granite Peak. It's a good deal.
I want to bring something up before too. We were talking about Clay Matthews. Did you see his Lambeau leap last night? Yeah. I mean, it was a Lambeau grab the top of the fence and try to climb up there, but I think he was so tired he had no power left to climb up, which is kind of hard to believe Clay Matthews wouldn't have strength to pull himself.
That's embarrassing. Nothing's worse than Aaron's Lambeau leap for the Buffalo game. When did Aaron have that one where he barely made it up the wall?
Clay didn't even make it up the wall. If Aaron barely made it up the wall, I mean, Clay probably was flat-footed, just reaching up to the fans and high-fiving.
You're gonna have to get a stare for those guys that jump off the next time.
You gotta practice for your your offensive tackle eligible type.
I'm getting up there. There's no doubt about it. If I have to jump off a chair or somebody's back, I'm getting up.
Plays like the cartoons, Wile E. Coyote, he dies 100 times during the episode, but, trying to accomplish something, Clay splat, right up against the wall. So, hey, how about the Lions yesterday? They lose the football game because their first round pick in Dominican Sue missed an extra point.
I don't know.
What would happen if they asked you to go out and kick an extra point today?
I wouldn't think it'd get off the ground.
You're a defensive lineman, you're an offensive lineman. Throw a kicker in it.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen, but you gotta tell me that was a better option than having a punter kick that. Man, I'm sure your punter.
You know what? Their punter kicked off on the next thing, and he looked. I mean, terrible. It was terrible.
Well, they were saying after the fact that Sue is the backup kicker. They determined that heading into the game, he has a soccer background and he used to kick in
It's
high
not
school.
like they panicked and whoever yelled the loudest and raised their hand the highest on the sidelines, the guy they picked. And truth be told, if you see the highlight of the kick, the guy looks like he knows what he's doing. He pushed it just a little right and it hit the upright. It's not like he missed it badly. It was way up height-wise. It was way up there. I mean, he looks like he could kick, and it's unfortunate that he missed it. Unfortunate for the Lions that they lost football game. I kind of like. I think it's going to be a little while before the Lions have a danger of starting to knock on the Packers' door. I kind of like that team, though. I like their coach. They're putting it together in a hurry, and Dominican Sue has just been an absolute force on the defensive side of football. And to see a defensive lineman, I don't care what team it is, to see a D lineman kick an extra point, and it turns out to be a game winner, I think that would be phenomenal. Great
Yeah,
story.
it was. I thought for sure the Lions were going to win that game, but they had so many dumb plays that just. I mean, the third and one, third down call where they could have ran continued on the clock, or they threw it incomplete, and then later in the game you got a late hit out of bounds that gives them 15 extra yards, gives the Jets right in field goal possession. So I mean, it always seems like they're right on the the cusp of getting a victory, and then those plays come back to haunt them and end up losing the game for them.
Yeah, I did hear today that Jason Hansen could be out a couple more weeks, so it's going to be interesting to see if they go out and get somebody. I would imagine they'll have to instead of having Dominican Sue, because when it comes to point, field goals, I mean, you're not going to have your first round pick out there trying to kick a 45-yard field goal.
It's been a tough year with the Kelvin Johnson catch week 1, and then yesterday, like you were mentioning too, I watched the end of that game, thought they could win. I guess they look at the side of their helmet and realize they're still the Lions.
They don't have the second best record, but I do believe they're the second best team.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we've been saying it all year. They're a team that, and they're not the old, stumbling Lions anymore. They've got a lot of talent on the team, and they've been playing good football this year. Their record doesn't show it, but they've had a lot of close games, and they have a very talented team.
Everybody's doing the experts are doing their mid-season report cards, and nobody's really backing off the Packers. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but there are those that are still saying the Packers are going to go to and win the Super Bowl. That's our goal.
We've been playing good football, so we got to keep it rolling after the bye week, and we'll see what happens.
3 straight wins. That's something. I got to be honest with you. With the way the injuries have been going early in the year, to think of this football team talking about a 3-game winning streak, or possibly to extend that after the bye week, really wasn't something that entered my mind too much.
Yeah, especially, I mean, when you look at the last, 4 games we played, that was really a tough stretch of our season, looking back, when we saw the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Jets, we knew there was going to be 3 tough games, and to get out with 3 wins against those teams, they were really big wins for us.
Go ahead. It's almost like, I mean, you look back too with McCarthy, what he's been talking about, nobody picked you guys even to win Minnesota, nobody picked you guys to pick the Jets. Last week everybody's saying, could this be a trap game? There's kind of that feeling of, I don't know what the best word to use it is, but I mean, do you hear that? Is that motivation? Is that up on the bulletin board when you're seeing that stuff?
Not really. I mean, we don't really pay attention to, what a lot of the experts say, but we just go out there. We know what we're capable of, and we're on a 3-game win streak. And yesterday we played really good football. So we don't really care what anybody else says. We're just going to go out there and continue to play the way we know how to play.
Thanks for coming out. It's been a pleasure having you here. Really has.
I'm heading home tomorrow.
You are doing a great job. Enjoy your time off, and we hope to see you back here next week. But bye week, get plenty of rest, and get back at it again. So Justin Home, thank you very much. Reggie Rizzu back in our studio. Mark Zahn here, our technical video coordinator. Got a new title. This is In the Huddle on the Woodward Radio Network.